I saw a list of the top 10 fears that humans have. Number 1, fear of failure. Number 4, fear of being judged. You take those two fears together, and you can see why it's so hard for us to admit to others when we're wrong. Because being wrong means failure. Being wrong means you are judged. Yet as Christians, we actually find it's important to admit when we're wrong. In this devotional, I'll describe why it's important to admit that we're wrong, what is holding us back, and some benefits of admitting our mistakes to others in this practical faith devotional from Cecil Taylor Ministries. This is the second of 3 devotionals in a series on admitting our wrongs. The first devotional discusses how to admit to God that we are wrong. The third devo covers the opposite case, when someone must admit their wrongs to us. In it, I'll discuss our approach to allow others who are wrong to admit their behavior, apologize, and reestablish relationships. Why do we need to admit that we're wrong to others? Well, let me reiterate from the first devotional. Realize that all sin affects God. All of our harm to others ultimately affects God. Jesus said, "If you have done this to the least of these, you have done it to me." Whether positive or negative, our treatment of others affects Jesus. We must admit to others when we're wrong because we've also hurt God when we have wounded others. And this is why Jesus is firm. If we have a broken relationship with others, it's hard to reestablish our relationship with Him. In Matthew 5, Jesus says, "So if you are offering your gift at the altar and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother and then come and offer your gift." This is tough stuff to do, but doesn't Jesus ask us to do a lot of tough stuff? So let's delve into why it's tough for us. Dr. Tim Sharp of the Happiness Institute lists 3 reasons why it's hard to admit to others when we're wrong. The first reason is if we are wrong, then we are unworthy. We have our public image, an image of ourselves to others. When we are wrong, it can affect our view of our value and worth. The thing is, we do have value and worth no matter what. God sees our value and worth because He created us and gave us our value and worth. Through God's love for us, we can be assured that we always have value and worth. Our Christian friends can help us through the process of seeing our value and worth, restoring and healing us. As James writes in his New Testament letter, "Therefore, confess your sins to one another and pray for one another that you may be healed." The second reason that it's hard for us to admit wrong is never admitting fault makes you look stronger. That's what we think. So that's why we go so far as blaming others rather than ourselves. Think a minute. Doesn't it drive you crazy when someone never admits fault? Do you know people like that? Because I do. Do you really want to be that person? The irony is, behavioral experts tell us that never admitting fault reveals that you are weak psychologically, not strong. It actually shows strength to admit mistakes, but we don't want to. Here's a troublesome example: gaslighting. When abusers blame others rather than themselves, they repeat a narrative that makes the victim actually question their own view of the truth. What do you think? Do you appear strong by not admitting fault, or are you actually weak? Join the conversation by adding a comment below this video, whether you came to the video through YouTube or Facebook. Here's what can actually happen when you forego your strength and admit fault. You can build trust. Let me give an example of a story when I was young in my software development career back in my 20s. Well, our company was going to integrate software with another supplier in front of the customer. Now, let me tell you, that's a very charged situation because you don't want to look bad. If anything, you want the other guy to look bad. Well, we started integrating our software and it didn't work. At first, I really thought it was the other supplier's fault, but then I realized, no, wait a minute, this is my software bug. So I told my colleagues about it and they said, you should hide it. Just go fix the problem and then all of a sudden it'll start working. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it that way. So instead, I revealed to the customer, I said, this is my fault. It's going to take me 3 days to fix it and I'll have it working by Friday. So let's meet again to integrate then. The customer was taken aback and said, okay, we're on a schedule, but do what you need to do. Well, I came back on Friday and everything worked. But here's the interesting thing. The rest of the time on that year-long project, that customer always came to me when there was a tough decision or a difficult question. And they told me in front of the other company, You are the one that, when it would have been easy to hide the truth, made the difficult decision to tell us the truth. And now we trust that you're going to continue to tell us the truth. The moral of that story is we may be worried how we're seen for being wrong, but by telling the truth, admitting our faults, we can earn respect, build trust, and strengthen relationships. The third reason that it's hard for us to admit wrong is we don't value the truth. Sometimes we don't want to change our minds when confronted with the truth. Dr. Sharp reminds us it's actually rational to change one's mind in the face of new information. It shows intellect and judgment to value the truth, change your mind, and admit wrong. We can't fix things, we can't fix ourselves unless we delve into the truth. To fix our mistakes and to get to the bottom of our mistakes, I recommend a technique called the 5 whys. It's where you use 5 why questions to drill down and understand the root cause of your mistake. You can find a description on the internet. You can also find a detailed explanation of the 5 whys and a deep dive into how to understand your value and worth in my new video lesson series, Live Like You're Loved. Please visit ceciltaylorministries.com to learn more. Now, this is the second of 3 devotionals on admitting when we're wrong. In the third devotional, next Wednesday, January 27th, I'll discuss how to allow others to admit that they were wrong. On January 21st, I'll post my monthly podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Podbean. Just search for Cecil Taylor Ministries on each. I'm starting a new series on the fruits of the Spirit, beginning with self-control. Now, some reminders: like this video and comment below, subscribe to the Cecil Taylor Ministries YouTube channel, or follow Cecil Taylor Ministries on Facebook, and check out ceciltaylorministries.com for Live Like You're Loved and other video lessons. Have a blessed week.